Welcome back, coin hunters. Today we're going on an exciting search through the world of Lincoln Wheat Pennies, where an ordinary-looking 1-cent coin could have a story that makes collectors stop and take a second look. These historic US coins are among the most popular pieces ever produced by the United States, and some unusual examples can command impressive prices when the right combination of rarity, condition, variety and collector demand comes together. So has anyone found a truly unique Lincoln Wheat penny hiding in an old collection, coin jar or forgotten box? That is exactly what makes this hunt so exciting. Stay with us as we examine the features that can separate an everyday wheat penny from an example that collectors may consider especially desirable. Let's get started. The 1961 Lincoln Memorial Penny, a fascinating United States 1-cent coin struck at the Denver Mint during the early years of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series. The 1961 had a very large production of 1,753,266,700 pieces, so its importance today is not simply based on the number originally produced. Instead, collectors become especially interested when an example has survived in exceptional mint state condition with strong original red color, outstanding luster, clean surfaces, and impressive overall eye appeal. PCGS records the coin as a 19mm, 3.11 gram copper cent made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with Victor David Brenner's Lincoln portrait on the obverse and Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse. That combination of history, design, age, and condition is what makes a superb 1961 worth a serious look whenever one appears in a collection, inherited coin group, old bank roll, or personal coin box. The history behind this penny is one of the reasons collectors continue to appreciate it. The Lincoln Memorial reverse had only recently been introduced when the 1961 was struck, because the Lincoln Memorial design debuted in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. That means a 1961 belongs to the early and historically important period of the Memorial Cent series. On the obverse, collectors see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right, surrounded by the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, with the date 1961 positioned prominently below. On the reverse is the Lincoln Memorial, accompanied by United States of America, EPLURBUSUNUM, and 1 cent. The small d mint mark identifies Denver as the facility responsible for striking the coin. For collectors building complete Lincoln Memorial cent collections, the 1961 is an essential date and mint combination, and examples preserved with exceptional original surfaces can become especially attractive additions to a high-quality set. The fact that this coin was produced during an era when copper cents were still standard circulation money gives it an additional historical connection to everyday American commerce in the early 1960s. One of the most important features to examine on a 1961 is the quality of preservation. When collectors describe a coin as uncirculated, they are looking for evidence that it did not experience the normal wear caused by years of changing hands and spending. A truly impressive example can show strong design detail, attractive mint luster, and surfaces that remain remarkably fresh after more than 60 years. For copper coins, color is also extremely important. A coin retaining its original bright red appearance can be designated RD, or red, by professional grading services, while brown and red-brown examples receive different color designations. This distinction can dramatically affect collector interest and value. The PCGS price guide currently lists the 1961 RD across a wide range, depending on grade, with guide figures reaching hundreds and several $1,000s at the very highest levels. This does not mean every 1961 is automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Rather, it shows how strongly the market can reward an exceptional example when condition, color, grade, and certification come together. The real excitement begins when we move into the upper mint state grades. A high-grade 1961 with brilliant red color, smooth surfaces, strong strike quality, and excellent eye appeal can become a completely different collecting proposition from an ordinary circulated penny. Professional certification is particularly important because it gives collectors an independent assessment of the coin's condition and color designation. PCGS auction records demonstrate how dramatically prices can rise for exceptional examples. One 1961 Lincoln Cent graded MS67 RD by PCGS sold for $1,440 at a Stack's Bowers auction in August 2019. The auction description highlighted its powerful luster, sharp striking detail, vivid pinkish-red color, and exceptionally smooth appearance. This is exactly why serious collectors examine old cents carefully. The difference between an ordinary example and an elite-grade example can be enormous. The 1961D is therefore a perfect illustration of the principle that rarity in modern coin collecting is often about condition rarity rather than simply original mintage. Another fascinating aspect of the 1961D is its connection to die varieties. PCGS recognizes a 1961D D/Horace D variety, listed as F-501, where the mint mark area displays an unusual die characteristic. This variety is separately catalogued in brown, and red versions. For collectors, varieties like this add another level of excitement because they encourage close examination of the smallest details. Instead of looking only at the date and mint mark, experienced collectors may study the shape, position, doubling characteristics, lettering, and other diagnostic features to determine whether a particular coin matches a recognized variety. This is where a simple 1-cent coin can become a fascinating piece of numismatic research. A collector with a high-quality 1961D should therefore inspect the coin carefully under good lighting, and when necessary, compare it with recognized variety references or submit it to a professional grading service. The current market story surrounding the 1961D is especially interesting because PCGS current guide data shows a substantial spread for RD examples, with listed figures rising from modest amounts at lower mint state levels into hundreds and eventually thousands of dollars at the highest grades. PCGS auction database also reports hundreds of auction appearances for the 1961D MS category and an auction record of $4,406.25 for the type in its modern Lincoln cent auction price data. These numbers demonstrate why collectors should never judge an old penny only by its face value. At the same time, auction prices and price guide figures are not guarantees that every coin will sell for those amounts. The market is highly dependent on the exact grade, color designation, certification, surface quality, strike, eye appeal, variety, and the circumstances of an individual sale. The strongest examples are the ones that attract competition from collectors who specifically want top-quality pieces for registry sets, advanced collections, or premium Lincoln Memorial cent holdings. There is also a fascinating survival story behind this coin. Although more than 1.75 billion 1961D cents were originally struck, PCGS CoinFacts page gives an estimated survival of about 1.225 billion across all grades, around 100,000 at MS60 or better, and approximately 50,000 at MS65 or better. This illustrates an important concept in numismatics. A coin can have a huge original mintage, while truly exceptional specimens remain much harder to locate. The PCGS population report also shows certified examples spread across the higher grades, with only a relatively small number at the very top end, compared with the enormous original production. This is where collector demand becomes particularly powerful. A common date coin in ordinary condition may have limited value, but a beautifully preserved example that reaches the highest grades can become a highly desirable condition rarity. For anyone searching through old collections, the message is simple. Don't automatically dismiss a 1961D simply because millions were made. Study the condition, color, surfaces, strike, and details before deciding what you have. So if you have a 1961D Lincoln Memorial penny that looks almost untouched, with bright original red copper color, strong mint luster, crisp lettering, sharp memorial details, and exceptionally clean surfaces, this is a coin worth taking seriously. Its original denomination was only 1 cent, but exceptional certified examples have demonstrated the potential to reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the collector marketplace, with documented high-grade auction results showing 4-figure prices. The most exciting possibility is always finding an unusually high-grade example that could stand out among other coins of the same date and mint. If you believe your 1961D is an extraordinary specimen, avoid cleaning or polishing it, protect the surfaces, examine it under proper lighting, and consider professional authentication and grading before making any major selling decision. Remember, the highest values belong to specifically graded and exceptional examples rather than every 1961D cent. Market values can change with grade, certification, color designation, variety, surface preservation, eye appeal, and actual auction competition. But that is exactly what makes the hunt so exciting. Somewhere in an old collection, coin jar, estate group, or forgotten box, a remarkable 1961D Lincoln Memorial penny could be waiting for someone to recognize just how special its condition really is. Next up, The Denver Mint produced more than 2.9 billion examples of the 1971 Lincoln cent, so the real excitement for collectors comes from identifying unusually well-preserved examples and genuine varieties or errors. Professional auction records show that exceptional 1971 Lincoln cents can reach impressive prices, with the broader 1971 series having a PCGS auction record of $4,406.25 for a superb MS67 Plus example. The story of this coin begins with the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which started in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The famous Lincoln portrait on the obverse was created by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse memorial design was created by Frank Gasparo. By 1971, the Lincoln cent had already become a familiar part of everyday American commerce, passing through countless hands and remaining one of the most recognizable denominations in United States coinage. The D beneath the date identifies the Denver Mint, giving this particular coin its 1971 D designation. Even after decades of circulation, a surviving 1971 D penny can attract attention because it represents a physical piece of American history from more than half a century ago. One of the most fascinating features to examine is the coin's design and the tiny details that separate an ordinary-looking cent from a collectible example. On the obverse, look closely at Abraham Lincoln's portrait, the date 1971, the word liberty, and the inscription in God We Trust. Then turn the coin over and examine the Lincoln Memorial United States of America, 1 cent, and EPLURBUSUNUM. The small Denver D is another important identifying feature. Collectors also carefully inspect the surfaces for unusual doubling, off-center strikes, clips, planchet problems, or other genuine mint errors. Documented 1971 D errors have brought substantial premiums at auction. For example, Heritage recorded a 1971 D cent struck on a dime planchet and double struck 95% off-center that sold for $862.50. Condition is where the excitement becomes even greater. A heavily worn or environmentally affected 1971 D penny should not automatically be considered a high-dollar rarity simply because it is old, but a 1971 D cent with remarkable preservation, strong original detail, attractive red color, and a high professional grade can become much more desirable. Collectors compare Lincoln's hair and facial details, the memorial columns, lettering, rims, surfaces, luster, and overall eye appeal when evaluating quality. Certified examples can provide additional confidence because professional grading companies document the condition of the individual coin. The PCGS auction database lists hundreds of auction appearances for the 1971 D Lincoln cent, demonstrating that collectors actively track this issue and its high-grade examples. The biggest opportunity comes when a 1971 D cent has something genuinely unusual about it. Error coins can transform an otherwise familiar date and mint mark into a major collector piece. Off-center strikes, clips, double strikes, planchet errors, and unusual striking characteristics have all appeared among 1971 D cents in documented auctions. Heritage Auctions, for instance, recorded a 1971 D cent struck 50% off-center in MS62 brown that sold for $74, while another 1971 D 30% straight clip example sold for $69. A different double-struck 1971 D example sold for $114. These results show why collectors should carefully examine unusual-looking coins rather than dismissing them immediately. When we talk about current market value, the most important point is that there is no single price for every 1971 D penny. The value can change dramatically depending on grade, color designation, strike quality, certification, eye appeal, and whether the coin possesses a verified mint error or variety. Ordinary examples can remain close to face value, while exceptionally preserved certified pieces can move into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The documented PCGS auction record for the broader 1971 Lincoln cent series reached $4,406.25 at MS67 Plus, showing the kind of money that can be reached by truly exceptional coins. For a 1971 D specifically, the possibility of a major premium becomes much more realistic when the coin combines outstanding preservation with a rare and authenticated characteristic. That is why an old 1971 D Lincoln Memorial penny deserves a second look before it is placed back into a jar or spent as ordinary change. The most exciting discoveries often begin with small details that are easy to overlook. Look carefully at the mint mark, date, lettering, rim, Lincoln portrait, memorial, and every unusual feature on both sides. If you believe your coin has a major mint error, exceptional preservation, or an unusual variety, professional authentication and grading can help determine whether the feature is genuine and how collectors may value it. Auction records demonstrate that verified 1971D errors have attracted serious collector interest, including unusual examples selling for hundreds of dollars. So before you dismiss that old 1971D Lincoln Memorial penny as just another 1-cent coin, remember that the real treasure hunt is in the details. More than 50 years after it was struck, this little copper-colored piece can still tell a story about American history, the Denver Mint, Lincoln cent collecting, and the specialized world of error and high-grade coinage. A normal worn coin and an exceptional certified rarity can have completely different market outcomes, which is exactly what makes coin collecting so exciting. If you have a 1971D penny, examine it carefully under good lighting, compare both sides, and pay special attention to anything that looks different from a normal example. In the right combination of condition, rarity, and authenticated mint characteristics, a coin that once represented only 1 cent can become a fascinating and potentially valuable collectible in today's numismatic market. Important note for viewers: coin values can change according to grade, certification, color designation, surface condition, variety, mint error, authenticity, eye appeal, and actual auction results. The high values discussed here apply to exceptional, certified, or specially recognized examples, and should not be understood as a guaranteed price for every 1971D Lincoln Memorial penny. Always verify important varieties and errors with a qualified professional or reputable grading service before making a buying or selling decision. Next up, the 1979D Lincoln Memorial cent has an interesting place in modern U.S. coin collecting. The Denver Mint produced more than 4.1 billion examples of this date and mint combination, making it a widely produced coin, yet collectors still pay close attention to exceptional examples, strong strikes, attractive color, varieties, and coins that survive in unusually high grades. PCGS records an auction result of $3,995 for a certified MS67 plus red 1970-90, showing how dramatically the value can change when an ordinary-looking cent becomes an exceptional condition rarity. So when you discover a 1970-90 penny in your collection, the important question is not simply whether it is old, but whether there is something special about its condition, appearance, strike, color, or variety that could attract serious collectors. The history of this coin begins with the famous Lincoln Memorial Cent series, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design placed Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, creating one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. The 1970-90 continued this tradition and was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small letter D below Lincoln's date. The coin has a diameter of approximately 19 millimeters, weighs about 3.11 grams, and belongs to the copper composition used for regular U.S. cents of this period. PCGS lists the 1970-90 at a mintage of 4,139,357,254 pieces, with Victor David Brenner associated with Lincoln's portrait and Frank Gasparo with the memorial reverse. These details make the coin historically interesting even before we begin talking about collector value. Every surviving 1970-90 penny is a small piece of everyday American monetary history, representing the final years of the 1970s and a period when the Lincoln Memorial design was already deeply established in American pocket change. Now take a close look at the unique features of your 1970-90 penny. On the obverse, you should see Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date 1979. Directly below the date is the important Denver D Mint mark. Turn the coin over and you will find the Lincoln Memorial surrounded by the words United States of America, EPLURBUSUNUM, and 1 cent. On a worn example, many of these details may appear soft or faded, but collectors know that small design characteristics can still be important. The color of the copper, the strength of the lettering, the clarity of Lincoln's portrait, the condition around the date and mint mark, and the overall surface can all influence how a collector evaluates the piece. A heavily circulated coin can still be interesting, while an unusually sharp, attractive, or high-grade survivor can become far more desirable. The condition of the coin is where the story becomes especially interesting. If your 1970-90 penny is described as being in very rough condition, that does not automatically mean you should throw it away or assume it has no collecting interest. Instead, look carefully at what kind of wear and damage it has. A circulated coin may show scratches, dark coloration, rim marks, contact marks, and heavy wear from decades of use, but collectors can still study it for unusual characteristics. At the same time, the biggest documented prices for this date are associated with coins in extraordinary certified grades rather than ordinary rough circulation examples. PCGS specifically notes that 1970-90 cents can be found fairly easily through MS66, while MS67 examples become scarce and higher grades become increasingly difficult to locate. That difference is extremely important because it explains why one 1970-90 penny might remain a 1-cent curiosity while another, preserved with remarkable surfaces and certified at an elite grade, can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The market history gives us another reason to pay attention. According to PCGS auction prices, the certified 1970-90 Lincoln cent reached an auction record of $3,995 in MS67 plus red, sold through Heritage Auctions in 2016. PCGS also lists hundreds of auction records for the 1970-90 MS category, demonstrating that collectors have actively traded certified examples over time. This does not mean every 1970-90 penny is worth thousands of dollars. Instead, it shows the extraordinary upper end of the market for the right coin. A coin with exceptional preservation, strong red color, very few marks, excellent strike quality and professional certification can enter an entirely different collector market. That is the exciting part of coin hunting. Two coins with exactly the same date and mint mark can have completely different market stories because condition and rarity at the highest grades matter so much. When discussing dollar value in today's collecting market, it is important to separate ordinary circulated pieces from genuinely exceptional examples. A heavily worn 1970-90 cent generally should not automatically be advertised as a hundreds or thousands of dollars coin simply because it has a D mint mark. However, the certified auction record demonstrates that exceptional specimens can reach the thousands of dollars, with PCGS documenting the $3,995 MS67 plus red result. For a YouTube collector audience, this creates a powerful reason to inspect every coin carefully. A realistic value discussion can range from face value territory for ordinary worn examples to much higher amounts for coins with exceptional grades, attractive original red color, unusual varieties, or other documented characteristics. The most important point is that the 4-digit figures belong to exceptional certified examples, not automatically to every rough 1970-90 cent found in circulation. There is also an important lesson in the difference between rarity and age. The 1970-90 is now more than 4 decades old, but age alone does not make a coin rare. More than 4 billion were struck, so the date is not rare simply because it was produced in 1979. What can become rare is a particular combination of date, mint mark, preservation, color, strike quality, and certified grade. This is exactly why collectors examine seemingly ordinary coins under good lighting and magnification. A rough coin may reveal an interesting mint characteristic, while a coin that looks ordinary from a distance might show surprisingly strong details when examined carefully. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC provide certification and population information that can help establish how unusual a high-grade example really is. NGC's records for the 1970-90 also show certified examples reaching high grades, reinforcing the importance of condition when evaluating this date. So before you spend, trade, or sell your 1970-90 Lincoln Memorial Penny, give it a serious examination. Look at the date, confirm the Denver D, inspect Lincoln's portrait, study the memorial reverse, and examine the surfaces for anything unusual. If the coin is heavily worn, its value may be modest, but if you discover an exceptionally preserved example, strong original color, an unusual variety, or another characteristic that deserves professional attention, the story could become much more interesting. The documented $3,995 auction record proves that exceptional 1970-90 cents can reach substantial collector prices, even though the overwhelming majority of circulated examples are not worth anything close to that figure. And that is exactly why coin collecting remains so exciting. The next interesting discovery could be sitting unnoticed in an old jar, inherited collection, box of coins, or forgotten group of pennies. The 1970-90 Lincoln Memorial Penny may have started its life as just 1 cent, but the right combination of preservation, rarity, certification, and collector demand can transform a simple copper-colored coin into a highly interesting numismatic treasure. Next up, the 1984 Philadelphia cent had a huge production of more than 8.15 billion pieces, so the real excitement comes when an individual example stands apart from the enormous population because of its grade, color, variety, or era. The 1984 Lincoln Memorial Penny carries the classic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, the design that defined the Lincoln cent from 1959 through 2008. A coin without a mint mark is normally associated with Philadelphia, making that absence an important identifying feature rather than a mistake by itself. For collectors, the combination of the 1984 date, Philadelphia origin, sharp details, attractive surfaces, and strong original color can make an otherwise familiar cent much more interesting. The coin's copper-plated zinc composition also places it within the modern era of Lincoln cents that began in 1982. One of the biggest reasons collectors pay close attention to 1984 cents is the possibility of a significant variety. The 1984 Lincoln cent is especially known for the doubled ear variety, where noticeable doubling can appear around Lincoln's ear. There are also other attributed varieties and unusual examples that can attract serious collectors. This is where a normal-looking penny can become a completely different numismatic opportunity. The date alone may not create a huge premium, but a dramatic and authenticated variety can transform the collector interest and market value of the coin. Condition is another major factor. A 1984 no-mint mark cent in ordinary circulated condition is generally a common coin, but a very fine-looking example with strong details, attractive surfaces, and especially desirable original red color can receive much greater attention. At the highest certified grades, the competition becomes much stronger because collectors building top-quality Lincoln Memorial sets want coins that combine excellent preservation with eye appeal. PCGS records an auction result of $9,250 for a 1984 Lincoln cent graded MS69 RD, demonstrating how dramatically exceptional certified quality can separate a top example from an ordinary circulated penny. That is why today's collector market should be viewed through the lens of grade and uniqueness, rather than simply assuming every 1984 penny has the same value. A remarkable certified example can reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars, while a recognized major variety can also command a substantial premium. Auction records show that the upper end of the market is real, but these figures belong to specifically identified and exceptionally graded coins, rather than every 1984 cent. The most exciting possibility is finding an example with the right combination of sharp strike, original red color, high grade, and a recognized variety that gives collectors a reason to compete for it. If you discover a 1984 penny that looks unusually sharp, take a close look at Lincoln's ear, the date, lettering, rims, and overall surfaces. Do not clean or polish the coin because original surfaces are extremely important to collectors and professional graders. Instead, preserve it carefully and compare it with trusted numismatic references. A coin that appears ordinary at first glance can deserve a much closer examination when unusual doubling, mint-made characteristics, or exceptional preservation is present. The excitement surrounding this coin comes from the hunt itself. Millions of people have handled Lincoln cents without realizing that collectors study tiny details that can separate an ordinary coin from a premium example. A 1984 no-mint mark cent therefore deserves a place on the checklist of coins worth examining carefully, especially when the coin has strong detail and attractive original surfaces. The highest values reported for the series demonstrate the potential of exceptional specimens, while recognized varieties can create another level of collector demand. So before you spend or discard that old 1984 Lincoln Memorial penny, give it a serious inspection. Look for the no-mint mark Philadelphia issue, examine the condition, check the color, and pay particular attention to possible doubling and other recognized varieties. The current market shows that exceptional 1984 cents can move far beyond ordinary 1-cent value, with documented auction results reaching thousands of dollars for elite specimens. The key is identification, preservation, and professional authentication when the coin appears promising. Remember that market prices vary according to grade, certification, variety, color designation, authenticity, and actual auction demand, so the most valuable examples are the coins that can be properly identified and verified. Next up, the 1988 Lincoln Memorial penny is a fascinating United States 1-cent coin that can easily be overlooked when it appears old, dirty, dark, or heavily circulated. At first glance, a worn 1988 penny may look like nothing more than an ordinary coin, but collectors know that the real story begins with the date, the Denver D mint mark, the condition, the surface quality, and especially any unusual variety or exceptional grade. The 1988 Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, and more than 5.25 billion examples were produced. That huge production figure makes the coin interesting from a historical perspective, while the small number of exceptionally preserved examples creates another level of collector interest. So if you have a 1988 penny sitting in an old jar, box, collection, or pocket change find, do not judge its potential simply by looking at its surface for a few seconds. A coin that looks unimportant can deserve a much closer examination, particularly when collectors are searching for outstanding examples, recognized varieties, and high-grade pieces. The history behind this penny is also important because the 1988 cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent series that began in 1959. The obverse features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, with "In God We Trust" above him, Liberty beside the portrait, and the date 1988 along with the Denver D mint mark. The reverse carries Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, surrounded by the inscriptions EPLURBUSUNUM, United States of America, and 1 cent. By 1988, these cents were being made from copper-plated zinc, rather than the traditional bronze composition used on earlier Lincoln cents. The standard 1988 piece weighs about 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters across. This gives the coin a fascinating place in American numismatic history because it represents a period when the United States Mint had already transitioned Lincoln cents to the modern zinc-based composition. Now let us talk about the detail that can make a collector stop and look twice: the condition of the coin. A very dirty or heavily circulated 1988 penny should not automatically be described as a high-dollar rarity. However, the fact that a coin is dirty does not mean its history or potential collector interest disappears. Dirt, dark surfaces, oxidation, discoloration, and circulation marks can hide important details that should be examined carefully before any decision is made. Collectors may look closely at the date, the D mint mark, Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the memorial building, the rims, and the overall surfaces. The 1988 issue also has recognized varieties involving the shape of the G in the designer's initials, including the flared G variety. PCGS catalogues the 1988 flared G as F-901, showing that varieties can add another important dimension to the search. This is exactly why a collector should examine an old-looking coin carefully rather than immediately dismissing it. The biggest excitement comes when we move from an ordinary circulated example to a coin with exceptional preservation, strong original color, attractive surfaces, or a recognized variety. The normal 1988 cent is not automatically a hundreds or thousands of dollars coin simply because it carries a D mint mark. Current reference information shows ordinary examples can be worth very little, while certified high-grade examples can bring substantially more. For example, PCGS records a 1988 Lincoln cent auction record of $1,495 for an MS-68 example sold by Heritage Auctions in 2007. Another documented PCGS MS-68 example sold for $575 in 2010, while another MS-68 example brought $329 at Heritage Auctions in 2016. These results demonstrate why condition is such a powerful factor. The dramatic prices are connected to exceptional certified specimens rather than ordinary dirty pocket change examples. For collectors hunting through older pennies, this is where the 1988 becomes especially interesting. Imagine finding a coin that appears ordinary at first, but after careful examination you discover unusually sharp details, attractive original red color, minimal marks, and possibly a recognized variety. That kind of discovery can transform a common date coin into a much more interesting numismatic piece. PCGS lists the 1988 in brown, and red designations, and its records show that the highest-level certified pieces are the ones attracting serious auction attention. The flared G variety is another reason collectors should pay attention to tiny design details rather than relying only on the year and mint mark. One documented PCGS auction record for a 1988 flared GBN example reached $129 in 2023 at Heritage Auctions. That gives viewers a powerful reminder that even a modern memorial cent can become collectible when the right combination of variety, preservation, and certification comes together. When discussing today's market value, it is important to separate an ordinary circulated coin from an exceptional certified coin. Current online reference information places ordinary 1988 cents at relatively modest levels, while high-grade examples can reach considerably higher prices. At the upper end, documented auction history proves that an outstanding certified 1988D can move into the hundreds of dollars, and in one exceptional PCGS recorded case, nearly $1,500. Therefore, the most exciting possibility is not that every dirty 1988D penny is secretly worth thousands, but that collectors may occasionally encounter an unusual, high-quality, or variety example hiding among ordinary coins. That is why checking your old pennies can be so rewarding. The date, mint mark, surfaces, strike, color, variety, and professional grade all work together to determine where a particular coin stands in the market. So if you have a 1988D Lincoln Memorial penny that looks very dirty, old, or neglected, the best approach is to treat it as a coin worth investigating. Look carefully at the D mint mark, examine the lettering, study the shape of the designer's initials, and compare the coin with recognized 1988D varieties. Avoid assuming that a damaged or dirty appearance automatically means rarity, but also avoid throwing the coin away without checking it. The most valuable examples in this series demonstrate how dramatically the market can change when a coin reaches an exceptional certified grade. A normal example may remain a 1-cent collectible, while a remarkable MS68 level specimen has documented auction results in the hundreds, and even a $1,495 auction record. That contrast is what makes coin hunting exciting. The real treasure is not simply the date printed on the coin, but the combination of rarity, quality, variety, originality, and collector demand. And that is the reason the 1988D Lincoln Memorial penny deserves a closer look whenever one turns up in an old collection or jar. More than 5 billion were struck at Denver, yet truly exceptional survivors can still stand apart from the enormous population. The biggest documented prices are reserved for extraordinary pieces, especially coins with elite grades, desirable color, strong preservation, or recognized varieties, so viewers should think of the hundreds to $1,000 range as an exceptional market possibility rather than a guaranteed value for every circulated coin. The documented $1,495 PCGS auction record shows just how far a top-quality example has reached historically. If you find one of these pennies, take your time, inspect every detail, compare it with trusted references, and consider professional authentication when the coin appears genuinely exceptional. In the world of Lincoln cents, sometimes the smallest details can make the biggest difference, and that is exactly what keeps collectors searching through old pennies year after year. Value note for viewers. Coin values can change based on grade, certification, color designation, variety, surface condition, authenticity, and actual auction demand. The high values discussed here are documented examples for exceptional coins and should not be interpreted as a guarantee that every 1988D Lincoln Memorial penny will sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. Always compare your coin with current professional price guides and recent auction results before making a buying or selling decision. Thanks for watching.